Well, once again, Reese, I see you're wearing your Canada Day outfit with your Canada Day flag and Canada Day onesie. The flag, of course, you're wearing as a cape. That's a nice touch. I'm assuming that you brought me over here to tell me something about Canada Day. Maybe. I don't know.
Yes, we're good. Do you know what?
Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day, the Day of Canadians.
Yeah.
May all your Timbits be moist.
Your Timothy's bits?
May all of Timothy's bits be moist and firm. May all of your maple syrup be like a turgid fluid.
A turgid fluid?
Turgid fluid.
Turgid fluid, okay.
And may all of your... and may all your hockey sticks bend in the right place.
Oh, that's nice.
There we go.
May all your donair meat be hot and wet.
As a lovely treat for you, Jesse, for Canada Day.
We should do... Oh, yeah. What? Yeah. Tell me.
I'm going to teach you
Yep.
all about a very influential Canadian filmmaker.
Ooh.
Who's dead now.
Oh.
But they did some good things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds
Good.
fun.
Let's do it.
Okay, put on the music, dance.
It's Canada Day. It's Canada Day. It's Canada Day. It's Canada Day. Maple beef, salmon and light beer, swimming in lakes, hot dogs and cheer, moist Timothy bits and a moose in a hat, frisbees and baseballs hit by a bat. Drink so much you fall asleep in a hot tub, wake up hangover and having a run.
Super bland, cold nuts, super light. The place that's excitement, kryptonite. You may fall asleep with no warning, because Canada is boring, boring. 'Cause Canada is boring. Canada is boring. So boring. Canada is so fucking boring, boring. A real cool podcast with Reese and Jesse.
Hello and welcome to Canada is Boring, Canada Day special edition.
Huzzah.
Small talk dimension. I want to go straight in
Okay.
and talk about the delicious beer that we're drinking from Two Crows.
If you are new to this show, just letting you know, my name is Jesse Harley. This is Reese Waters. Reese is a Welsh immigrant, a Welsh bastard immigrant who likes politics and history, and has been teaching me, a homegrown Canadian, about my own country's history and politics. And it's been a fun ride for about 4 years now. We've and so yeah, this is not an educational show. This is about 90% dick jokes, 10% education. And as Reese likes to say, if you've liked what you've heard in this show, go read a book.
Yeah, go read a book by someone who's an academic who actually does more than just a
cursory glance.
at Wikipedia. I just wanted to talk about the fact that we're
drinking beer at 11:30 in the morning.
What was different about the studio when you came in today?
So this is so cool. Reese owns a podcasting company. He helps other companies start up podcasts and everything that entails, which is a lot more than I ever thought about. It's really quite an impressive system they've got. And Two Crows Brewing. Two Bros Crowing. Two Crows Brewing, where we did our live show.
Yeah.
Our live show just a month or so ago. They just gave them
The kegerator.
a kegerator. I don't know what that means, but it's just like it's a little
beer
stand.
Beer taps.
It's a beer tap. Yeah.
We've got an IPA and a sour at the moment.
It's amazing. And it's 11:30 in the morning, and Reese is like, "Hey, do you want some beer?" And I'm like, "I can't say no."
Look at these cool glasses as well.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day, Reese.
Yeah, so it's good.
So cool. Yeah, it's just you've got beer and cider in their little mini fridges all around the office, and now they've got their own kegerator. Podstarter is the only company I know that actively encourages day drinking while working at the office, and I couldn't agree with this more. I think this is great.
It takes the sheen off reality. It's great.
And you need that working and living in Halifax.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. Yeah. I want to whether you're flipping burgers with your neighbors, or whether you're at some kind of parade, or whether you're, I don't know, hiking up a mountain or camping, whatever you do for your Canada Day. I don't know, maybe you tie in small effigies of Justin Trudeau to a firework and setting it off.
That'd be cool.
That's whatever you're doing. Whatever you do and however you celebrate Canada Day, make sure you listen to this podcast. That's all we ask.
And if you don't,
then Jesse won't be allowed any more beer from the taps.
well, that just makes me sad.
So, well, I don't care. Those are my terms.
All right.
So,
What are you doing for Canada Day?
just gonna chill, barbecue and pool.
That sounds nice.
Barbecue and just doing. We've had such a crazy few weeks with kids doing sport and all this kind of thing.
Flipping over the handlebar of your
Yeah,
bike.
work being busy. My wife's gone back to college for a little bit to study. There's so much going on.
Your wife.
She is real.
Yeah, sure. So your fake wife, who you Photoshop into all your photos, has mysteriously gone back to college.
Well, she isn't gone anyway. She's doing it from home.
Oh, sure. So
She's
no witnesses, in other words. No one can. Right. Yeah. All right. That's smart. That's good. Yep. All right. What is she studying?
She's doing this really difficult math problem the other day, and she was like, "Look at this. Can you help me?" And I looked at it, and I was like, "I can't help you. There's nothing I can do." And then she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." She got 100%.
Holy shit.
I was like, "Don't ask for my help next time." Not because I don't want to help you, but because that grade will be much worse if I help you.
It's because you don't want to help her.
It's not because I don't want to help her. She get 100% without me.
Yeah.
I need her help more than she needs mine.
True, yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to teach. Have you ever heard of Edward?
I just.
Oh, how are you spending yours? I'm so rude.
No, that's fine.
How are you spending yours?
I don't really have any plans, honestly. Yeah, it's too bad. My friends have become, what's the word?
Old
And boring. In my later years.
Go and hang out with some young people, some Gen Z.
Yeah,
Or Gen Alpha.
You know, it's possible.
Hey,
I'll
Gen
find
Z
a barbecue
kids.
somewhere and like just.
Can I come to your music concert?
I've known Reese since 2018.
Yeah.
2018, and we've hung out a bunch, and I've never once met his wife, and it's become an ongoing joke that he just keeps making her up. And he'll be on the phone with me at his house, and he'll put the phone away, and I'll hear in the background is him just going, "Say you're real, say you're real, please, just say you're real." And from the other end, silence.
She just laughs and runs away. She thinks it's funny, so she laughs. She just looks at me as if to go, "No, I'm not going to give you any evidence."
Sure, Reese.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Yeah.
And I admit all the pictures are blurry and from a distance, like Bigfoot. So, and circumstantial evidence. So, eyewitness testimony is flawed.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Good. No, I got nothing else going on. Teach me about this filmmaker, dude. I'm very curious. I mean,
Edward Dmytryk.
Edward Dmytryk. I am not familiar with this name.
He was a Canadian filmmaker who was,
That's why I'm not familiar with this name.
he was nominated for 2 Oscars. He wasn't a Canadian. He was a Canadian filmmaker, but he
left Canada.
He made it in Hollywood.
So this is the problem. I was talking with a friend of mine recently about this very issue. I was talking with a buddy, and just in case, I won't say his name. He works in the film industry in Canada. He's very, very good at what he does. And we were talking about how, we've gone to many film festivals.
Yeah.
And we've seen films from all over the world for many, many years, and of a wide variety of tastes and talents and qualities. And we both agree that Canada makes the worst movies in the world, by far. Now, there are exceptions to these rules. There are exceptions to this, not these rules. There are exceptions to this. There's always exceptions. There are some fantastic movies that have come out of Canada and are still coming out of Canada. They are few and far between. And the vast majority of Canadian films are horrible, just awful. I hope to prove this sentiment wrong in the future myself, but who knows?
Well, they say the industry is 100 people giving the same 100 people work over and over again.
Well, we have. Sorry, say that again.
The film industry in Canada is 100 people giving the same people 100 people at work over and over again. This is a very small industry.
Oh, well, sure.
This is a very you've got to know how to play the system, how to get the funding, how to do the tax credits.
That's separate.
It's a very closed system.
It is a very closed system.
It's not a commercial system. It's not films don't live and die and careers don't live and die based on merit and success. They're based on who can fill the paperwork in the best.
That's actually true. So
that's not conducive to a creative environment.
No. So couple that along with the fact that we share a border with the States. Okay. And anyone who gets talented enough that people are like, holy shit, this person's extraordinarily talented. They leave. They go to the States. They all fucking leave. And the ones who stay aren't good enough to go. And we have to hire them because of union rules. Have to. If we find someone who is just like a natural born talent, but they're not an actor or they're not in, whatever, like that's like, we can't hire them. Our films are filled with the talent of the mediocre.
Well, here's the difference, though. The British.
I am going to just destroy my film career today.
The British film industry is of a comparable, like Britain and Canada. Britain used to be a much bigger country. Canada's catching up in size. The UK has a very small film industry, but people make films with the ambition that those films will be commercially successful outside of the country. They want them to be commercially successful inside the UK to a wider audience, but they also want them to be commercially successful in America. And it happens on a regular basis. You look at like
some of the incredibly talented
Paddington, for instance.
Paddington's great.
It's a British movie.
Yeah.
That just kind of nobody expected it to do so
fun
stuff. Like, but those kind of movies are like, or you look at the career of like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, like the British gangster movies.
But some of the BBC films and television series are spectacular.
But in Canada, I think that like they're built with the idea that we should aim for these films to be popular and for everyone to want to watch them. And I don't perceive that in Canada, everyone manages their own expectations about the film industry.
What do you mean?
As in, like, I've never met someone who's like, I want this to be in every cinema in Canada. And I hope that also this film is going to be so good that people in America and other English-speaking countries are going to watch it.
Right.
People manage their expectations and go, we're going to have a limited release in one theater in Manitoba.
Well, there's one distributor in all of Canada.
I'm not saying it's their fault.
No. There's just one. And if you can't,
it's probably structural.
It's very structural, and it's incredibly structural. Yeah, and a lot of the time you have to pay for your own release, right? Which is very expensive.
Yeah,
and I do want to mention, like, there are some spectacular films coming out of Canada. You go all the way back to like,
but the sad thing is,
Fly.
But people don't get to see them. That's the sad part.
Well, some do, but not many. You know, like Cube. Have you seen Cube?
No.
Cube's amazing. Oh my God. It turned into a trilogy. It was so amazing. Like, there's this new movie coming out now that's very similar to it, and all the comments in the YouTube section are like, is this like a sequel to Cube? Is this in the Cube universe? And the filmmaker is commenting. He's like, ha 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 ha. What? And this is my own movie. What are you talking about? And then Quebec is just its own separate. Quebec's amazing when it comes to films. Like, Café de Flore, and of course their own Xavier Dolan, who is astounding. I went and saw It's Only the End of the World by him, which is.
But isn't the director of Dune Canadian?
I don't think he is. I think he's. Oh, maybe,
because you cannot deny the Canadian influence on film. But you're right; it's usually from outside of Canada.
I don't know. I know he's a French director. He might be from Quebec. That's very possible.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's my little rant. I hope Canada gets better.
I'm sure.
I truly do.
I'm sure there's some incredible talent and amazing films being made. I feel like the distribution
it's both in Quebec and, bizarrely, the other province that is showing incredible promise when it comes to film talent right now.
Please say Manitoba.
No.
I'm not interested.
Newfoundland.
Oh, cool!
Like, unbelievable, blowing everybody's expectations.
I watched Sweetland. Have you seen Sweetland, the movie that came from there last year?
I don't think so.
It was really good, based on a book.
Yeah. So I just want to end this little rant by saying, while I do believe that we do make some of the worst movies in the world, I am seeing examples of people, outliers.
Yeah,
who are making exceptional films and are choosing to stay in Canada, right? And kind of show Canadians like, hey, look what's possible as a Canadian for Canadians.
Yes, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And it's heartwarming and it's encouraging.
Yeah.
honestly. And I hope to see more of that.
Good. Okay. Well, anyway,
Onto the content.
onto the content. This PSA was. So
It might be the beer you've got to drink at 11:30 in the morning. Thank you for that.
Edward Dmytryk was born on September the 4th, 1908, in Grand Forks, British Columbia. His parents were Ukrainian immigrants, Francis and Michael, and his father was a severe disciplinarian. He didn't get on with his dad.
That is a kind use of words for calling him an abusive prick.
A severe disciplinarian. Yeah,
Severe,
exactly.
yeah.
And his dad also bounced amongst jobs as a truck driver, a smelter worker, and a motor man. I don't know what that is, but I think it's half man, half car. So. Yeah, exactly.
Off to work, boy.
Exactly. So the family moved. This family moved to San Francisco, California, and then also to Los Angeles. And when he was younger, his mother died, and he obviously didn't get on with his dad because his dad was so harsh. So when he was 14, he ran away from home.
Oh,
So-
interesting.
So
This is in
L.A. This is in L.A.
I thought this was in the Ukraine.
No.
Where did they move?
I don't know. I think he was born in Canada, so they moved to Canada before.
Okay, so he was born in Canada.
So when his mother died, he was home alone with his severe disciplinarian dad.
Where did you say this was?
They were born in British Columbia.
British Columbia.
And then he moved, well, as a kid, they moved to LA.
So they're currently in LA.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I gotta
when his
remember this
dad,
stuff if there's a quiz later.
when his mother died when he was 14, he was part of a Boy Scout group called the Western Rangers. And one of the kids he hung out with was the son of an executive at Paramount Studios. So, because he'd run away from home, the guy was like, "I'll give you a job."
This is how it happens.
This is how it
It is
happens.
always nepotism. It's
Well, he's
successful people have no successful people.
He was a homeless 14-year-old who just happened to be friends with a. It wasn't a glamorous job that he got. He was a messenger at Paramount Pictures for $6 a week
Jesus.
while attending high school.
What year was this?
This would have been the 1920s.
Oh, so that might, I don't know how much
Yeah,
that is. It's
yeah.
probably still not a lot.
No, exactly. And then, but in the studio, they only had 2 projectionists, and one of the projectionists started to teach Edward how to run the projection because he wanted to go outside to smoke because he couldn't smoke around the flammable film.
No, that's actually extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah. So he became an assistant projectionist and then a projectionist really young. And then he got into editing. He slowly worked his way up. And by the age of 31, he was a director.
There is a saying that the best directors are editors.
Apparently, the best directors are messengers, assistant projectionists, film editors, and then directors.
Yep, in that order.
In that order, yeah. But then he started working off on B movies.
Okay.
Because he was a 31-year-old young director working his way up. So they're like,
You
hey.
can, yeah.
So he made things like The Devil Commands in 1941 with Boris Karloff, Underage, Broadway Ahead, Hot Pearls, The Secrets of the Lone Wolf, and Confessions of a Boston Blackie, and Counter-Espionage.
Is this? I'm just curious. Is the rest of his life going to take place in Los Angeles?
No, it kind of
Does
goes.
he come back to Canada?
It goes around the world.
Is this okay? I
kinda
don't
goes
know if
around
I
the
call
world.
this a Canadian filmmaker.
I thought
He was born in Canada and then immediately left. Like
he is a Canadian filmmaker, and he died 25 years ago on Canada Day.
okay,
So
all right.
Canada Day is the 25th anniversary.
Are we literally talking about a guy who made it everywhere else in the world as a filmmaker except for Canada?
That only matters to you, apparently. Nobody else. He's a
I don't know
Canadian
if I call him a
filmmaker.
Canadian filmmaker if he didn't make films in Canada.
Richard Burton is a Welsh actor. Made all his films in LA. Came from Wales.
Yeah, but a Canadian
Anthony Hopkins,
a Canadian filmmaker implies
famous Welsh actor. Anthony Hopkins stars in all the Hollywood movies and HBO shows.
I have to argue that saying he's a Canadian filmmaker implies he makes films in Canada.
No, he was just born in Canada. Tom Jones, famous Welsh singer, made it big in America.
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds, is he an American actor?
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Name one film he's done in Canada.
He doesn't need to. Welcome to Wrexham. Is that one? Does that count?
That's not in Canada at all. That is literally in Wales. your country.
He's still a Canadian. He's still a Canadian actor. Yeah. I feel like the only people who worry about this stuff, and this may be one of the limiting factors to the Canadian film industry, is Canadian filmmakers.
No,
you decided to leave. You had the audacity to leave and make a successful career somewhere else. You are no longer a Canadian filmmaker. You're now an American filmmaker.
I would argue.
I find her a weird label.
No. Let me argue this. If I learned film in Canada, and then I developed my film career in Canada, and because of the influences of being in the Canadian film industry, of being a Canadian and living in Canada, and making films while living in Canada, being a Canadian, being influenced by Canadian influences, I become a Canadian filmmaker and then choose to leave. I'm taking my influences as a Canadian filmmaker and my skills and talents with me to other places, to then continue having my Canadian influence as a Canadian filmmaker on my films wherever I am. That's not the case in this instance. He was born
and grew up,
and he left immediately.
He didn't leave immediately.
He didn't make one film in Canada.
Oh, that's great, but he's still a Canadian filmmaker.
He's a Canadian who is a filmmaker. There is a difference.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I don't know why. Rather, he should be instilling pride in you in terms of what's possible from.
He didn't even learn film in Canada.
Well, he learned film.
He happened to be born here, and then they got the fuck out.
He learned film because he was homeless. So,
anyway, tell me more about this guy.
He also then had a sleeper hit called Hitler's Children in 1943. Which turned out to be a comedy. It earned over $3 million. No, it wasn't a comedy. He was very much in the noir game. He was a kind of a master of film noir.
That's cool.
Which is cool. You want to claim him again now, don't you?
No.
Kind of abandoned him. However, he'd been a Communist Party member in 1944 and 1945.
Oh, no.
So the House of Un-American Activities basically called him in to say, we need to interview you about your communist activities.
Okay. What were his activities?
But have you ever heard of the Hollywood 10?
Or you just buy like a loaf of bread and share it with his friends? Like,
no, just being a member of the Communist Party, talking about communism, looking at a picture of Stalin and going, "No, maybe he's all right." That kind of stuff. He was part of the Hollywood 10. Have you ever heard of the Hollywood 10?
It sounds familiar.
So they were a group of motion picture producers, directors, and screenwriters who were severely blacklisted by the film industry
for being communists.
Because they had sympathies to left wing politics.
Weren't people being jailed for this?
They were, yeah. And Trumbo, the famous screenwriter,
heard of him.
He was one of the Hollywood 10, but so was Edward.
Oh wow!
So they were, but they all refused to testify. They refused to speak. Just as this was happening, he was nominated for Best Director for his movie Crossfire while this was happening. So he was like top of his game.
Right.
And then in his personal life, they were like, "Are you a communist?" And he's like, "No thanks. I'm not telling you."
That's exactly what he said.
Well, I can't hear you. Like that. And he was fired from RKO, the studio he was working for. So before he could
that whole witch hunt back then was insane and ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
It was literally. They're going
to do it again next year when Trump wins. So.
Oh God, right? Yeah. But like the whole, I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. It's the whole like, I don't know why they were so scared. Do you think like a handful of people talking about communism is going to change everybody's mind in the whole states, all of the states? Like
this is the one you're talking about. It's thought crime. Thought crime. Anyway, so he fled to England rather than go to prison.
What did they say? What's the saying? Freedom of speech only matters when someone you don't like is saying something you don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he fled to England because they were going to arrest him.
Is this, by the way, this is funny. This must have been a new law they came up with so that they could arrest people. It's not like this law existed before.
These were they were kind of like I don't know, but they set up like laws to say that you're being an American and like we can put you in prison and blacklist you from Hollywood.
Right. Yeah.
We can stop you from doing your job, kind of thing.
That's so.
So he fled to England and he managed to make 2 films, Obsession and Give Us This Day, in the late 40s, even though he was kind of in exile.
Okay.
And his U.S. passport expired, so he decided to return. And he was arrested and served 4 months and 17 days at a minimum security prison in West Virginia. So they were worried about him. But they weren't that worried.
Yeah, 4 months and 17 days
In a minimum
security in
prison.
West Virginia.
In West Virginia.
Yeah, I don't know what the prison system's like in West
Take
Virginia.
me home.
I can't imagine it's horrific in any way.
In a late 1940s minimum security prison in West Virginia.
Just
Probably
like-
wasn't great.
Well, I don't know.
But it didn't. By minimum security, it doesn't mean luxury.
Oh, it's not like he wakes up and has a scone with jam every morning.
Yeah, exactly. You don't write the boy you want for breakfast on a card and post her out the door. It's like.
The maid comes around 11 a.m.,
Exactly.
knocks on your bars.
So but he really wanted to get back into Hollywood. So after he served his time, he then actually did go back and retestified and spoke, and basically talked.
Oh, and lied.
And he talked. No, he basically talked about some of the other filmmakers and producers who'd pressured him to include communist elements in his films. So
did he fucking rat out other people?
So he was
so he could get back in the industry.
So out of the Hollywood 10, he was the one filmmaker who managed to kind of a lot of them did get back in the industry in the 60s when things cooled down.
Right.
But at this point, he was the only one in the 50s who managed to get back in because he was like,
he ratted everyone.
I'm going to
else.
spill the beans.
You want me to be proud of this guy?
But these are difficult times. These are difficult times.
He literally put all of his colleagues under the bus so that he could continue working.
Well, that was it, basically, yeah.
That's horrible.
But I mean, he'd just been in a minimum security prison in West Virginia. And
for 4 months.
And the bread is always dry in the mornings. So
they always forget to fluff.
They only give you day-old donuts. So, but this led to probably the best film. The film he's best known for, and it was a critical and commercial success.
Okay.
The Caine Mutiny in 1954. Have you heard of the Caine Mutiny?
No.
So this is the plot. It had Humphrey Bogart in it as well, which is obviously a big star at the time. So during World War II, a dilapidated vessel, the Caine, gets a new ensign.
What's it called? The Caine what?
What did I say? The Caine Mutiny.
Okay.
So this is a film noir courtroom drama set on a ship.
In the 50s.
In the 50s, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's set during World War II, but it was released in the 50s. So during World War II, a dilapidated vessel, the Caine, gets a new ensign, Willis Keith, and a new captain, Commander Queeg, Humphrey Bogart. The crew sees Queeg's
really
unconventional behavior, and irrational and communications officer, Thomas Kiefer, spread suspicion about his suitability as captain. When a dire situation during a storm forces the executive officer to relieve Queeg of his duties, he and Ensign Keith are tried for mutiny. So essentially, it's like, is the captain fit to serve? The ship's fallen apart, we're stuck in a storm, and it's kind of very much a psychological courtroom drama on a boat.
Now, there's no need for that. I know exactly what he'll tell you. Lies. He was no different from any other officer in the wardroom. They were all disloyal. I tried to run the ship properly with a book, but they fought me at every turn. If the crew wanted to walk around with their shirt tails hanging out, that's all right. Let them. Take the tow line. Defective equipment, no more, no less. But they encouraged the crew to go around scoffing at me and spreading wild rumors about steaming in circles and then old Yellowstain. I was to blame.
It was made on a budget of $2 million. And
That's
it was the second highest grossing film of 1954.
Wow.
And it earned $8.7 million in theatrical rentals in the US.
Wow.
And it was nominated for the Best Picture in the Oscars.
That's amazing.
Didn't win, but it was nominated. Just
Still.
just as good.
It's an honor to be nominated, Reese.
But this film, and the reason I want to talk, so there's two reasons I want to talk about this filmmaker. Number one, Canada Day is his 25th year anniversary of his death.
Okay, cool.
And his most successful film is incredibly relevant today.
Oh.
So recently, I don't know did you follow any of the Biden-Trump? Because
no, I missed
Biden
it.
was trying not to fall asleep, and Trump was just constantly talking shit all the time. It was a disaster, total disaster. Neither of them are mentally fit.
I really want to see it because my roommate was going on about it, but how much he wanted to see it. He was going to remind me, but I never did see it. What I was most excited about, because the last time Trump was doing a fucking debate, he just talked over everybody, everyone constantly. And this time they had rules. So like
they cut his microphone off.
Yeah, which I'm so excited to see if I can find a cut of this. So it was a disaster again, even though both people had a set amount of time and no one could talk over other people. Like this was still a disaster.
At one point, Biden was boasting about how good he is at golf, and Trump didn't believe his golf average. And he was like, "No, I did it." And Trump was like, "I don't believe that." And he was like, I did. And it was just two old men. It was like, imagine going to an old people's home and there was just two old men sat
Arguing
there.
over soup.
Yeah, they're arguing over who should have control of the TV in the common room, in the main room where they're sitting. And whoever's got the best golf game gets to be in charge of the remote. That's what it was like.
So neither of them made any good points.
I'm not like at one point, Biden said that Trump had the morals of an alley cat, which was quite a nice line.
That's kind of cool, actually.
It was very oldie worldy, but I kind of liked it.
I like it,
but he just mainly looked like he was trying not to fall asleep for most of the debate. It was like Jon Stewart said. He was basically said these people need performance enhancing drugs.
Both of them, yeah.
But this is where it becomes so. Have you heard of the 25th article of amendment of the U.S. Constitution?
Probably.
It's the conditions for removing the president of the United States for if the president ever faced questions about mental or physical inabilities to kind of be able to be president. And it talks about the situation where the vice president or others could topple the president by saying that he was disabled or unable to be president.
Okay.
The film and the novel the film was based on were used to help write that law based on
what?
They quoted that movie and that scene where they were like, seeing is the captain fit to be in charge of this vessel or is this mutiny?
Wow.
That was used to help like draft this amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Really cool.
So his death anniversary, but also the fact that film, the impact it had, is very relevant today.
The film that he made in the 50s.
A film that he made in the 50s today. Like the actual law.
Has he made any films since then? Or
he did. He made films all through the 70s, and he then he lectured in Austin University in the 80s then as well.
Oh, cool.
There's also some other influence it had. Michael Caine. You a fan of Michael Caine?
Yeah, I like Michael Caine.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. Anyway,
if you say Michael Caine the way that he says
Michael Caine,
it sounds like he's either saying Michael Caine or my cocaine.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Well, do you know his real name?
Say Michael Caine, but as his, like, say my cocaine, but in
Michael Caine. There we go. Yeah. Do you know what his real name?
Michael Caine.
Do you know what his birth name was?
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
No, what?
Maurice Micklewhite.
That's such a cool. What a fucking punk name.
When he became an actor, he used
Maurice Micklewhite.
Maurice Micklewhite.
So that just put an "and" in the middle, and you've got a punk name.
Exactly.
Punk band.
Maurice and the Micklewhites.
Yeah.
So he used the stage name Michael White instead. He changed his name as an actor, but his agent told him there was already an actor using that. So after
Michael White?
Yeah, after he spoke to his agent on the phone in a phone box in Leicester Square in London, he just stepped out of the phone box and looked for inspiration for the name he should have. And he saw the Caine Mutiny was being shown at the Odeon Cinema. So he added the last name Caine. That's where Michael Caine came from, was because of the Caine Mutiny. He thought it was a good last name. But he joked that if he looked the other way...
Where did he get Michael from?
He was using Michael
White, yeah.
But he said if he looked the other way, his name would have ended up being Michael 101 Dalmatians. And the other cultural...
So the Caine Mutiny was the ship thing.
The ship where it happened, yeah. And Vince Gilligan, you're a fan of Breaking Bad?
I love Breaking Bad.
One of his favorite movies.
Oh, wow.
And there's lots of references.
I have to go watch this film.
There's lots of references in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul to... some of the kind of courtroom dramas in Better Call Saul is elements he borrowed and kind of paid homage to from that movie.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool.
So, yeah, and he died age 90 on July the 1st, 1999 in Encino, California from heart and kidney failure because he was old. And 3 other movies. So the Caine Mutiny, Murder My Sweet, Crossfire, and The Young Lions are considered his 4 top movies to check out. So there you go.
Cool.
A Canadian filmmaker.
Wow. He's not a Canadian filmmaker, Reese. It's a Los Angeles filmmaker.
He was
happened to be born in Canada.
He was a Canadian filmmaker as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. Anthony Hopkins has lived in LA for most of his working life. He comes back to Wales every once in a while, I expect. He's still a Welsh actor to me.
What films has he acted in Wales?
They don't have enough money to hire him, to be honest.
Anyway, that was a good story. I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to go watch the Caine Mutinies because it sounds cool.
Yeah.
It had a lot of influence. So especially if
It's got Humphrey Bogart in it as well.
oh yeah, that's right. That's cool. I like it. That's fun.
Cool. There we go. So happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada
This was
Day.
for you because you like films.
I do.
But instead, you just got angry because you were successful outside of Canada.
Get angry. I'm just debating you.
If you want to give us a nice Canada Day gift, then why don't you go to patreon.com/Canadian Canada is boring, or go on Apple Premium and subscribe. People are starting to subscribe on Apple Premium. Welcome.
Welcome all. It's super easy. It's just like a one click and you're done. You don't have to sign up for anything.
You get a shit ton of content.
Like crazy amount of back catalog episodes of some of the most amazing stories you've ever heard. It's a really good time.
And also, it was very hard. Is like, do we put this episode out for the public or do we just keep it behind? Some of them are really good, and I wish we could make them available to the public, but you got to pay for them. Sorry.
Yep.
I just wanted to say Happy Canada Day. It's my how many Canada Days have I celebrated now?
6.
This is my 6th Canada Day.
Happy 6th Canada Day, Reese.
Thank you, and happy 25th anniversary death to Edward Dmytryk.
That's a thing we don't say, but okay.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Canada Day, everybody. If you can't afford to join our Patreon or Apple Podcast subscription, leave us a review. Leave us a nice review, or just send us an email or a speak pipe and say hi. We love those.
Oh, and I know that our trailer for our live show ran for a month after it happened on our feed.
Yeah.
There was an error with the feed because I did take it down, but there was an error with the feed, and I've been told now that it's fixed.
Oh, by the way, we got a correction. I don't know if we have time. We
did we get a correction?
We did.
By email?
Yes. So this is a message from Dave Forsyth. Dave, thank you so much for the email. It was a correction. You said toward the end of your Oka episode, the Oka crisis.
Okay.
Reese, you brought up the infamous bayoneting of a 14-year-old girl when Jesse, asked if the girl had died. You understandably said yes. It was a bayonet wound to the chest after all.
I fear that they're bad.
Dave says, but she did not die. Her name is, Wanique Hornmiller. And she not only survived, she went on to be a star player on Canada's Olympic water polo team. She's in Canada's Sports Hall of Fame. She has done a lot of motivational work for Indigenous youth and served on the National Inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And all in all, she's pretty awesome and not even mostly dead. Anyway, nitpick over. Love the show, even though it's a shame you changed the title and focus just after Canadian Politics is Boring got itself a real kick-ass theme song. So there's someone who doesn't like the fact that we rebranded. But
sorry, Dave.
Dave, thank you so much.
Thanks for the correction.
Yeah, that was always good to hear when Reese messes up like that.
Not only did she not die, but she went on to have an illustrious career.
Yeah,
so
the
the opposite of dying. Well, I'm very sorry, Wanique. I'm glad that you didn't die from the bayonet to the chest. And awesome that you survived and that you were so influential and doing good stuff. So
yeah,
I feel like we could do an episode on it.
We might. You want to? I'd be down for that.
Yeah. Maybe we should. But anyway, I'm glad that she didn't die.
Me too.
That's a relief.
That's a nice happy ending for
nice
our Canada show.
Yay.
Our Canada Day show. Reese, thanks so much for teaching me about this filmmaker who happened to be born in Canada.
Canadian filmmaker.
And thanks so much for listening, everybody, to Canada's Boring. We love you so much. Thanks for sticking around, putting us in your ear holes, and sticking all the way to the end. Reese has got to go because this room has been booked for somebody else, and we are pushing time, so we got to run. Thanks so much for listening. We love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day, Reese.
A place that's exciting with kryptonite. You may fall asleep with no warning because Canada is boring, boring. Because Canada is boring, boring. Canada is boring, so boring. Canada is so fucking boring, boring, boring. A real cool podcast with Reese and Jesse.